The offer of peace. The stars above Earth were no longer silent. They hummed with warships, alien warships, orbiting just beyond the reach of Earth's atmospheric cannons. The Triarch Empire of Alethis held its position, waiting, watching. Their technology was light years beyond humanity's best. The only reason Earth still existed was because the Empire hadn't bothered to finish the job. Instead, they offered peace. Inside the towering gray bastion of Earth's unified command, 3 men stood before the holographic projection of the Valethis Empress. All 3 were brothers, though they hardly looked it. Captain Ryland stood at the center, tall, broad, still in his space marine armor, the plating scorched from the siege of Titan. His face was a mask of stone. To his left, Dr. Elias adjusted his glasses, his synthetic arm ticking softly as it flexed. He was lean, tired-looking, and visibly irritated. And on the right lounged Kale, youngest, smirking, hands in his coat pockets like he'd wandered into a bar, not a planetary council chamber. The Empress's voice rang out, smooth and silver. Peace through union. Your finest sons for our finest daughters. 3 marriages. 1 bond. Harmony between our species. General Volker growled from the sidelines. It's a trap. Elias didn't look up from his data slate. Obviously, but Ryland simply asked, what do we gain? The Empress blinked her alien eyes, crystalline and colorless. Survival. A beat of silence. Then Kale laughed. Well, that's romantic. The Valethis ship, the Concordance, was more cathedral than cruiser. Floating above Jupiter's storm line, it pulsed with violet lights and quiet chimes, as if designed to lull lesser beings into submission. The brothers were escorted through marbled halls by gliding drones and silent honor guards. Place is dead quiet, Elias muttered. Not a single vibration I can read on the sensors. No EM fields. No AI chatter. It's like they scrubbed the soul out of it. Kale whistled low. You'd think peace would come with drinks. At the core of the palace, a circular chamber opened, dim, starlit. And waiting within were 3 women, each one identical. Tall, elegant, skin like pearl. Long silver hair cascading in perfect symmetry. And faces sculpted to reflect harmony, logic, and perfection. Gentlemen, came the soft greeting in perfect unison. The brothers exchanged looks. The Empress's voice echoed through unseen speakers. Meet my daughters. Princess Allura. 1 soul, 3 bodies. Choose with care. Ryland frowned. They're clones. No, the voice corrected. They are Allura, divided but whole. The essence of unity. Each prepared to bond with a human mate. Kale took a slow step forward, eyes narrowing. Prepare how exactly? One of the Alluras turned her head, slightly too fast. Kale caught it. A blink, then a second blink. Odd. Out of rhythm. He smiled. Ladies, or lady, do you find this arrangement objectionable? Asked Allura 2. Or was it Allura 3? Kale's grin widened. Oh, not at all. I just love puzzles. Ryland remained still. What's the test? There is no test, said Allura 1. You will choose your bride from among us. Based on instinct. Connection. Bond. Based on deception, Elias muttered. He circled them slowly. Same voice timbre. Synchronized breathing. Even your eye movement patterns are algorithmically aligned. The middle Allura tilted her head. Do you fear us, Doctor? No, Elias replied. I just don't like being manipulated by a hive-minded trophy doll with a vocabulary limit. There was silence. Then, surprisingly, a laugh. Soft. Faint. One of the Alluras. Kale's eyes flicked to her. There you are, he whispered. Ryland crossed his arms. Why us? The Empress's voice returned. Because humanity resists order. You rebel against structure. And we need your chaos. Peace through chaos. Elias asked. No, evolution through balance. Ryland turned toward the others. They're baiting us. Obviously, Elias repeated. But Kale was still looking at the laughing Allura. Or maybe they're testing themselves. That night, in the chamber assigned to them, Kale sat at the edge of his bed, running a matchstick through his fingers. You noticed it too, he said aloud. The air shifted. From the shadows, one of the Alluras stepped out. Still perfect, still symmetrical, but her eyes no longer cold. "I'm not supposed to be here," she whispered. Kale nodded. "You blink out of sync." "Why?" "Because I remember something I shouldn't," she said. "Something that isn't shared." He leaned forward, voice gentle. "Then tell me, Allura." "Call me E," she said. "Which one are you really?" She didn't answer, but she smiled. Trial of choice. The next morning, a drone led the brothers into a crystalline garden beneath an artificial sun. Glass trees glittered with sapphire leaves. Pale blue birds chirped songs with mathematically perfect intervals. Elias sneered. "Even the birds are pre-programmed." "Relax," Kale said, stretching. "Maybe they just want us to fall in love." "Love isn't symmetrical," Rylan muttered. "This place is." Waiting by the mirrored fountain were the three Alluras, dressed in flowing white robes. Again, they looked identical. Same posture, same serene smile, same silver hair drifting in a soft breeze. It was impossible to tell them apart. The Empress's voice echoed from unseen speakers. "This is the trial of choice. You will spend the day with my daughters. At sunset, you must each choose one to bond with. Choose poorly, and the bond will be artificially sealed." Kale raised an eyebrow. "You mean mind control?" There was no answer, only silence. First pairing, Rylan. Rylan was led into a stone courtyard. One of the Alluras walked beside him in silence, hands folded. They sat opposite each other, watching koi drift in still water. She didn't speak. Neither did he. After 15 minutes, she finally said, "They call me Allura 3. But names mean little." "You speak less than your sisters," he said. "I'll listen more." He eyed her carefully. "You're not asking me about Earth. You're not trying to charm me." "Why?" "Because I know what silence reveals. And I sense that's what you trust." Rylan didn't reply, but inside something shifted. Second pairing, Elias. Elias stood in a circular library with another Allura. She gestured to a data console. "Please, Doctor, ask me anything." He typed quickly. Obscure Terran history. Abstract logic puzzles. Dead languages. She passed every test without hesitation. "Not bad," he muttered. "But a machine could do that." "I am more than memory," she replied. He raised an eyebrow. "Fine. Here's a trick question. What's the paradox of perfect unity?" She tilted her head. "A system designed for unity must erase contradiction. But consciousness, true consciousness, is contradiction." He blinked. "That wasn't in your programming, was it?" She gave the faintest smile. "No, Doctor. It wasn't." Third pairing, Kale. Kale walked through a simulated Terran beach with the last Allura. Fake waves rolled against synthetic sand. She watched the sky with a wistful expression. "You all act the same," Kale said. "But you're not. One of you laughed yesterday." She looked at him. "We are not permitted to laugh." "Exactly." He stopped. "Tell me who you are." "I am Allura 1. I am as I was made." "No," he stepped closer. "You're the one who called yourself E." She blinked. Once. Then again, out of rhythm. "I can't tell them apart anymore," she whispered. "But I remember feeling cold, alone, until you spoke to me." Kale softened. "Then hold on to that. You're more than code." At sunset, the brothers stood once more in the crystalline garden. The three Alluras stood across from them, hands clasped. The Empress's voice came again. "Make your choice. Choose your bride. Your union will be permanent." The tension was thick. Rylan stepped forward first. "I choose the one who said nothing, but listened." He pointed to the Allura who had sat in silence beside the koi pond. She bowed her head. A faint smile touched her lips. Elias stepped forward next. "I choose the one who contradicted her own code." She blinked, surprised. "You recognize that?" He gave a rare smile. "I'm a scientist. I value mutation." Finally, Kale stepped up. He stared at the remaining Allura. Her fingers twitched slightly. She didn't smile. "I know you're her," he said. "Even if you don't." She looked down. He reached out. "I choose you. Not because you're perfect, but because you blinked wrong." Slowly, she took his hand. The Empress's voice returned. "The choices have been made. You are now bonded. Each union will be integrated into the Valethis Concord." "What the hell does that mean?" Elias asked, but no answer came. Instead, mechanical rings of gold and light rose from the ground, encircling the couple's wrists and foreheads. The bonding interface activated, connecting them, biologically, neurally, spiritually. Kale flinched. Ryland gritted his teeth. Elias's eyes widened as he felt something crawl into his mind. But it wasn't control. It was a presence. Each brother felt it. Raw emotion, confusion, suppressed memories buried deep inside their brides. A single thought echoed across the neural bridge, not from the Empress, but from the clones themselves. We were one. We were shattered. Now, we begin to remember. Fractures in the code. 3 days passed. The newly bonded couples were moved to private suites in the Heart Spire, the highest tier of the Velethis Palace ship. Monitored constantly, given luxurious but sterile environments, they were expected to begin the assimilation process, emotional synchronization, biological interfacing, and eventual reproduction. But nothing was proceeding as planned. Ryland's suite. The silence in Ryland's chamber was broken only by the scratch of paint against canvas. He stood at the edge of the room, arms crossed, watching his Allura, move a brush across a blank surface. There are no brushes on Velethis ships, no paints, no canvases. He'd built them from ash, pigment, and carbon pulled from the environmental systems. Smuggled tools, jury-rigged components. Now she painted. "Where did you learn to do that?" he asked. Allura didn't look at him. "I didn't. I just imagined." The painting wasn't orderly. It was chaotic. Colors bled into each other like emotion. No symmetry. No logic. "Is it wrong?" she asked quietly. Ryland shook his head. "No, it's real." Elias's suite. Elias hunched over a cracked, open console panel, fingers dancing through an illegal diagnostic tool. Next to him, his Allura, the one who had answered his paradox, watched, eyes glowing faintly. "You're not just fixing the lights, are you?" she asked. "No," he muttered. "I'm scanning the palace-wide neural grid, trying to understand how they're linked. You're not 3 sisters. You're fragments." Her face tensed. "We weren't told that. You weren't told a lot of things." He turned the screen toward her. A visual, 3 identical neurological profiles, all missing different emotional centers. Empathy, curiosity, willpower, fragmented pieces of a whole. "You're like backups of a soul." She touched her chest. "And if we put them back together?" Elias looked at her. "Then maybe you'll remember who you were." Kale's suite. Kale woke to find his Allura, the one who called herself, standing at the viewport, watching the stars. "You didn't sleep," he said. She turned, uncertain. "I dreamed, but I wasn't asleep." "Was it about me?" She hesitated. "I saw a garden, but it was dying. I was screaming, but no sound came out." Kale rose, shirtless, still bearing scars from past campaigns. "Sounds like grief. I don't know what grief is." He stepped beside her, gently brushing her hand. "It's proof you were real once." She looked at him. "Kale, if I wasn't designed to love, how can I feel this way when you touch me?" Kale smiled faintly. "That's the trick, E. Love isn't programmed. It's what breaks the program." Across the Heart Spire, the surveillance AI logged every movement, every word, every irregularity. Alarms were flagged. Deviation levels rising. Order collapsing. In the throne chamber, the Empress of the Triarch Empire, cold and radiant, reviewed the data, her fingers laced in front of her. "Begin reset protocols," she ordered. "Isolate the Alluras. Prepare to erase emotional contamination." But it was too late. Elias had already initiated the virus. It spread through the bioneural rings worn by each bride, his personal design, disguised as ceremonial. The virus unraveled code, opened closed memory vaults, and sent one command across all 3 minds. "Remember." The change was immediate. In Ryland's suite, Allura dropped her brush, gasping, clutching her temples. The glass broke. There was only one of me. Then they split us. In Elias's room, his Allura screamed. "They took my name. I had a name." In Kale's arms, he whispered, "I remember my mother. She wasn't Velethis. She was human." Kale pulled her close. "You were born, not built." The brothers met in secret that night, gathering in a disused service corridor. "They tried to shatter her mind," Elias said, voice tight. "Split one person into 3. Thought they could divide her traits like carving meat. We need to get them out, Ryland said, before the resets hit. Kale nodded. The virus worked. They're starting to merge memories. But if the Empress resets them now, Elias warned, they'll lose it all. We'll stop her, Ryland growled. Like we always do. They looked at each other. Soldiers. Rebels. Brothers. Then Kale said, we're not just saving them. Elias nodded. We're waking up a whole empire. The whole of her. Red lights blared through the crystalline corridors. The Heartspire had gone into lockdown. Klaxons pulsed like a heartbeat, mechanical, urgent. The Velethis Palace ship, for all its elegance, had never been built for war on the inside. But it recognized a threat, chaos. And now it burned through the system like wildfire. In the throne chamber, the Empress stood alone. Her skin shimmered like polished stone, expression unreadable as she stared at the streams of corrupted data flooding her command console. 3 identities. Once one, now remembering, now awakening. Unacceptable. In the evacuation corridors, the brothers moved like shadows. Kale led the way, at his side, her eyes filled with both fear and wonder. She touched the walls as they passed, every surface triggering another stolen memory. I remember sunlight, she whispered. Not simulation, real heat on my skin. Good, Kale said. Keep remembering. That's your weapon now. Behind them, Elias carried a microcore rig hacked into the Velethis neural control node. His Allura followed close, now walking with intention. No longer silent, no longer programmed. They never expected rebellion from within, Elias muttered. They feared it, she corrected. That's why they tore me apart. Ryland covered the rear, pulse rifle held steady, his Allura at his side. Her expression was grim, hands glowing faintly with awakened biotics. Not technology, but memory-activated power. They're coming, she said. I can feel the drones activating. How many? Ryland asked. All of them. Inside the palace core, a convergence chamber pulsed with ancient technology. The walls weren't walls, they were memory. This is where it had happened. Where the original Allura had been split, mind, emotion will, divided into manageable parts. Each fragment engineered to bond with different aspects of humanity. Strength, intellect, instinct. But now those parts were reuniting. The Alluras, once identical, now walked together, no longer synchronized. They moved differently, spoke differently, remembered individually. And when they stood before the core, a golden prism of consciousness, he stepped forward and said, I am ready. Her sisters joined her, and they spoke as one. I was divided. I am whole. I am Allura. The Empress appeared in the chamber, descending like a specter. Her voice thundered, You do not know what you are. I know who I am, Allura answered. You are instability. You are error. Kale stepped between them. She's evolution. The Empress turned to him. You've infected her with chaos. No, Elias said, plugging the microcore into the control terminal. We gave her back her choices. The Empress raised her hand. The room trembled. Gravity shifted. The AI systems howled in protest as she accessed the override. Ryland leveled his rifle. Try it, lady. I've been killing tyrants longer than your empire's been watching stars. But the Empress didn't strike. Instead, she spoke softly, almost sadly. We created her to control you, to tame humanity. You were meant to be leashed by beauty, not led by it. He stepped forward. You wanted a puppet, she said. But I'm a person, and I choose them. The core reacted. A surge of golden light burst through the chamber as Allura interfaced with the system. Not as a servant, but as the original soul, the key. The Empress cried out, the floor fracturing beneath her. Across the palace ship, drones powered down. Lights flickered. Programs halted. The Empire's artificial perfection halted. Allura collapsed. Kale caught her. Her voice was faint. I used the last of it. I shut all down. The system, it's blind now. You did it, he whispered. You broke their leash. She looked up at him, tears falling now. Human, not artificial. I remember my name. What is it? Allura, she said again. Just Allura. Weeks later, Earth's skies lit up with the arrival of freed Velethis vessels. No more warships. No more commands from the Empress. Only signals of surrender. Allura stood beside the brothers on Earth's soil, watching the sun rise, not simulated, not filtered through glass. I thought I was created to end humanity, she said. But maybe I was born to start something new. Kel put an arm around her. Then let's build it. Rylan and Elias flanked them, their brides standing proud, no longer fragments. Together, they were whole. And so was she.